today we have with us Mr. Mandar Agashe, who is the founder and vice chairman at Sarvatra Technologies. A very warm welcome, sir. Thank you so much for joining at CXO TV.
Thank you, Arvind.
Thank you, sir. So, before we talk about the industry, so we would actually like to know about your journey, how it has been with Sarvatra, and what exactly inspired you to start this venture, and what has been your vision for the company and how it has evolved over the past years.
So I started Sarvatra with the goal of digitizing India. That was my goal. And I realized that a semi-urban and rural India, there is no digitization at all. And most of the banks I surveyed in the rural India didn't have a debit card or ATM or any such modern banking facility. So I decided to create a product which can be the first made in India switch, and which can be then given to the small banks in the country, by which their customers can use modern banking facilities like debit card and ATM. So that was my goal, what we have been working on for many years.
That's great. The entire world is going digitization in today's time, and so does this bank industry needs to also evolve, and it's definitely evolving over the period of time. So could you highlight some of the key technologies or products that have set your company apart, and how does Sarvatra Technologies stay ahead of the curve and continue to offer relevant and cutting-edge solutions?
So we started off giving debit card and ATM, which were like very big technologies, more than 15 years ago. And then we were the first one to give IMPS in the country. Then we became the first one to give Aadhaar-enabled payment system. Then we were the first company to give UPI, which is now very common, but we were the first ones to do it. And that's how we kept on innovating, continuously working very closely with Reserve Bank of India and National Payment Corporation of India to give the latest technologies immediately to all banks in the country, because of which 50% of all banks in the country today use Sarvatra platform.
That's so great, sir. I think in any kind of business, collaborations and partnerships are very crucial, and especially in this tech industry. So how do you think that Sarvatra Technologies approach in building and maintaining this partnership with banks and financial institutions have been?
So it was a great journey, because we realized very early that there was a need for the banks to have modern technology, but they couldn't afford to buy that technology. So we kept on changing the business model till it became relevant to our partners. So instead of selling them software, we gave it as a per transaction model. So for the banks, there was no upfront cost for buying extremely high-end technology. And the cost of running the technology, hiring the people, everything was done by Sarvatra. And all they have to do is pay us per transaction. So there was no risk to the banks that if the customers of the bank did not use the product, they don't have to pay us anything. But we were very confident that they will use the product. And we rolled out all these technologies. And I'm happy to today, in December 2022 was the first month when we crossed 1 million transactions in 1 month. So that's how our journey was. Yeah.
So in your opinion, while you adapt to different kind of technologies that are coming in the industry, so what are the most significant trends that are shaping the future of the fintech, and how is Sarvatra Technologies aligning itself with these trends?
So each platform, whether it's UPI or Aadhaar-enabled payment system, is coming out with new example. Now today, using UPI, you can pay for your subscriptions. For example, OTT platforms using UPI mandate. Then you can use UPI Lite, which allows you to store money and pay even when there is no network connection. Or you have UPI for IPO. So new use cases are emerging every day on these platforms, and we always stay in the forefront to give the latest features which are needed by the customers the most. And that's how we always keep it on the technology edge. Now, many banks are going for cloud computing. So they want these switches on cloud. So Sarvatra became the first company to collaborate with Oracle Cloud and other cloud vendors to give the latest products to banks on cloud. Similarly, Sarvatra was the first one to create a private cloud more than 15 years ago. So always we keep on the forefront of technology and we have the best technologists working for us.
As you were just mentioning about UPI, ever since this UPI thing has come up, like people are for people to do transaction, it has become so easy, and it's so good to see that even these small shops hold these UPIs. The India is going so much in a very faster space. It is going digitization is happening.
Yes.
So that's very great. But
So it is also thanks to our policy of the government. If you see the budget, in every budget, there is more and more money being allocated to grow the acquiring network. So when you see the QR code in merchants, and it's called acquiring. So the bigger the acquiring network, the more it will be easier for customers to use. So if you remember earlier, you had to carry cash in your pocket because you did not know whether the merchant will have a POS terminal or no. But today you don't even think about it because everyone will have a QR code. So even if you have a bhaji wala, so I always say whether you want to buy apple on the road or apple in a store, you always can use QR code.
Absolutely. And even at times it makes me wonder, people, whoever, I've seen so much of theft also happening. We barely carry cash today. Our phone is everything. It contains every document, every transaction ID.
Exactly.
So, while we adapt to such kind of technologies over the period of time, there are a lot of major challenges also it comes across. And so, how do you encounter, what exactly are the challenges that you encountered, and how are those resolved, if you can highlight some?
So, the most important challenge as you go digital is always your protection of your ID and protection of your password and PIN. So there will be many people who will ask you for your ID and password. So one has to be very careful that, your PIN is very important. PIN is something you should be only in your mind. You should not write it down anywhere. And at a periodic level, you have to keep on changing the PIN. So it is like if you give your ID and password, it is like giving your lock and key both. If both lock and key are available, anybody can open the door, right? So it's very important that all these systems, payment system come with top class locks. But the PIN is your key. And if the key, you don't store it properly and anyone steals the key, they can enter your house. Similarly, they can enter your digital house. So one has to be very careful that you don't store the PIN and change it frequently. And that, if you see, Reserve Bank of India is taking a lot of steps to educate the customers continuously through advertisement to warn the people, that. And India has got the lowest fraud percentage in the world because India from day one has been practicing a two-factor authentication or a three-factor authentication. Always, all our transactions are PIN driven. Even our when you use a debit card at a merchant, you have to enter a PIN. All this, it looks like a friction, but customers are happy that no one will use their money. Even if you use online payments, always a OTP comes. All these things makes Indian payment system the safest payment system in the world. And that is the reason for such high growth.
But I think you have put forward a very important aspect to this. While we as commoners, when we use PIN for our UPI payment, we barely change our password. Like we are so used to with the same password that we forget that how important it is to keep changing with your passwords as well. So,
one should put a reminder. How you put reminder to watch a certain serial on Netflix? You should put a reminder to change your password once in 2 months.
What should be the duration of changing?
So there are two ways. One way, like how do you, what do you do if you go to a crowded bus? There's a good chance that you will come and wash your hands and face, right? Similarly, if you are in a crowded place using your phone, if there's a likelihood someone would have overlooked your password, you should immediately change it. Otherwise, you should have a frequency that you should say once in 3 months, once in 2 months, you'll change your password and set a reminder.
Right. That's right. So balancing technological advancement with security, as you were mentioning, is very vital in this financial sector because people will not wish to lose out to their money. So how does Sarvatra Technology ensure that the security and safety of its solutions?
So we are a provider to the banks. So we ensure that a bank gets the best solution from us in a hosted form. So at the back end, there are high-end certifications like PCI DSS, ISO certifications. So we keep on taking those certifications. We ensure that all our laptops and every machine and every employee follows those rules. So we do all those to see that the backend system is very secure. Similarly, we educate the banks periodically of what best practices they should follow, their employees should follow, so that they are also aware of the latest changes in security guidelines, etc. And we always prompt them to train their customers, send them videos of how to educate the customer at a regular interval of how to keep secure. So finally, security, your exercise, is something that you do daily. Otherwise, just doing once a week is of no use.
So, could you share some of the insights on the regulatory challenges that fintech companies often face?
So I don't see regulatory challenges. Now, Sarvatra is 20-year-old plus company. So I have not seen a regulatory challenge because first checking the regulations before starting a development of any software is something we have practiced. Those who face regulatory challenges are those who don't pay attention to the regulatory framework before starting on a software. And they suddenly feel, oh, the regulation is different from what we thought. So regulation is usually very, very clear. And the trends are very, very clear. If you have doubt, you should hire a consultant who can tell you what the regulations are. So I don't see any regulatory challenge. In fact, over the last 20 years, RBI on one side has given a lot of new products, and on the other side, increase the security. So all the regulatory guidance and frameworks which come have been absolutely amazing, is my personal experience over the last 20 years.
So, I think while we talk about the fintech industry, there are a lot of trends that are coming up, definitely. So, what do you see, or what do you foresee over the next few years? What are the trends that are going to come up, and how is Sarvatra Technologies positioned to adopt those changes?
So you will see good adoption of AI and ML in years, and that is where analyzing the data is going to be very important for the banks and their customers. Customers are going to demand immediate service for any problems of theirs. So for that, there has to be a lot of automation at the bank's level, at the payment platform level, so that a customer has got all the information at the tip of his fingers. So we'll expect results, if not immediately on their mobile app, at least in less than 1 hour. So that is going to be very important. And the banks have to gear up to know their customer well. So they should know the difference between two customers. They might be exactly same age, same background, but their needs will be different. So analyzing where they are using their banking product, payment product, and the bank should have AI/ML to guide their branches or their support centers to give exact information to the customers and give correct products to the customer. That is going to be the challenge, and that's where how fast banks adopt AI and machine learning will make a big difference between a good bank and a not so good bank.
Right. So, could you provide some of the insight into the company's future goals and expansion plans you have, both in terms of product offering as well as geographical reach?
So as you can see that NPCI is pushing UPI to go global. So Sarvatra definitely is looking on taking a relation with NPCI to global frontiers, where many countries are looking at the success of payment platforms in India and wanting the latest payment platforms from our country. And that's where Sarvatra is working closely with NPCI and many government bodies to take Sarvatra platforms global to developing countries. So that's what we are planning to do. Plus, there is deep rural is where still I would say latest products have not fully reached, and there is a big scope for UPI to reach into really small villages and taluka level. So we are on one side working on going deep rural, other side going deep global.
So, in that very personal sphere, we would actually love to know, like, it's been such a long years of journey that you had. And obviously, with time, you have gained so much of experience. So, what are some of the most valuable lessons you have learned on your journey as an entrepreneur and business leader? And what keeps you motivated to continue to drive the company forward?
So, the biggest motivation for me and my colleagues at Sarvatra has always been to do something amazing for the country. And because that has been our goal, we did not even know when this 20 years passed, because every day we dance to the office and we just enjoy so much of work. And then now when we look at, oh, it's, have been getting spent 20 years doing something that we love, So I think most important is that you should do what you love. Then only you will not feel that, you're doing. And in fact, after 20 years also, I feel, oh, we are just a startup. So I still call ourselves a startup after 20 years. And though we have huge market share, but I feel there's so much things to be done and so many puzzles to be solved through technology. So I think it's just fun.
That's incredible that, I completely agree with you. Now, if you're loving something, if you're passionate about it, you do not really realize when time flies by. So, before, we proceed, I would like to understand, we were just talking about it a while back about AI and how ML is going to grow over the period of time. So, if you can highlight that, what would be the technological focus areas and priorities over the next 2 to 4 years, and the outlook for this fintech industry over the next maybe 5 years, if you can highlight.
Yes. So according to me, one cannot predict what are the technologies that are going to emerge 5 years from today. If you see the products that you use today were not in existence 5 years ago. So what happens is every day new technology keeps on coming, and you have to check whether it's valid or not valid and see what is best, especially in banking and finance. One has to be very, very careful about what technologies you adopt. Like in a consumer product, you might just try out a new technology, but in banking, you cannot take a risk because you are playing with the money of the customer. So you always have to test out the product thoroughly. So whenever you see a new product, usually it is there at least 1 year. So what is the latest product today was actually started a year ago. That is how it is. And one cannot predict what are the technologies which will come now, today, but you never know what will emerge, few days from now. Like when IMPS came, no one thought of UPI. When UPI came, no one thought of IMPS. But, everyday new products kept on coming. So, and you youngsters are so used to everyday new products and you're open to trying it out, right? So the same way bank has to keep on offering what is needed latest, but after thorough testing and trials.
So, like, even when the government had announced Digital India, we barely could think digitization could happen so fast. I think COVID, ever since COVID has hit, I think this has paced further. And as you were rightly pointed out, that obviously with time there's so much of advancement that are happening, and every industry needs to have their own space. They need to optimally use the technological advancements that are happening.
So and technology is coming everywhere. Today you are seeing payment in merchants, you're seeing payment in online. Even today, to buy IPO stock, you can use UPI. So it's all about where this usage will come, how it will be adopted. So one has to be very careful with AI coming in. You have to be on your guard always. Also,
it's only going to amplify further.
Yes.
Thank you so much, sir, for joining us and sharing such insightful knowledge with us, the CXO TV audience. It was a pleasure having you. Thank you for your time once again.
Thank you.
For more updates from CXO TV, please like and subscribe to our channel.